For years, Action Replay CDX has been securely stored away in an unknown secret location, feared by every evil character and creature ever seen on the PlayStation. They prayed it would never be unleashed. Unfortunately for them, their prayers weren't answered. CDX is out. Packed full with the greatest game codes for infinite health, lives and ammo, extra weapons, vehicles and characters, CDX delivers the power to blow your games wide open. CDX comes loaded with thousands of codes for hundreds of games and is easily updatable with new codes as they become available. You can even create your own codes with the powerful code generator function. Visit CodeJunkies.com, the only official CDX site, where you'll find all the latest CDX codes and underground news stories, the ultimate Code Junkies site for clued up gamers. Or call the Code Junkies hotline, where you can get your hands on the latest codes, up-to-the-minute chart and new release information, and enter the Code Junkies weekly competition. CDX isn't just a cheat code cartridge, it's a way of life. PSI viewers can now taste the power of CDX for themselves with PSI's very own selection of exclusive WWF SmackDown cheat codes courtesy of Code Junkies. Choose from infinite special moves, special every hit, have all characteristics, or even full power bar. Ready to play? PSI, in association with Code Junkies, brings you Cheats in Action, with real-life footage of the most incredible gaming situations ever seen on a PlayStation. Join us as we take a sneak peek at top-secret cheat codes and game enhancements at work. You too can be a part of Cheats in Action. Simply record your extraordinary gaming feats onto a standard video cassette and send it to the address that will appear on your screen after this message. The best video footage will feature on a future issue of PSI, with each winner receiving a fantastic Action Replay CDX cheat cartridge for PlayStation. Cheats in Action. Together, we'll blow games apart. Competition time. How do you fancy being the lucky owner of a Japanese PlayStation 2 console and games? Well, it could be you if you give the correct answer to the following question. Which highly anticipated beat-em-up is to be released first on PlayStation 2? Is it A. Tekken Tag Tournament, B. Mortal Kombat Tournament, C. Street Fighter Tournament? If you think you know the answer, call the competition line now on 0906 30 20013 and follow the online instructions. You'll be asked your answer and for your name and address. Lines will close at midnight on Friday the 2nd of June. The winner will be picked at random by our computer and announced in the next issue of PSI. Calls cost 50p a minute at all times, so get permission from whoever pays the bills before you dial. Fed up with all that nagging to clean up your bedroom? Got £2,500 to spare and an urge to impress your friends? Then treat yourself to the new Dyson Robotic Vacuum Cleaner. Just press go on the DC-06 and your room will automatically be vacuumed. Thanks to some clever computer programming and sensory technology, this vacuum is too smart to keep cleaning the same spot or fall down the stairs. The DC-06 has also been designed to pause if your cat attacks it or a kid brother or sister jumps on it. It's taken Dyson over 2 years and £5 million to develop the DC-06. Check out the Dyson.com website for more info. Tiger Electronics is going to put the fun back into tennis for all you armchair tennis players. Tiger has launched an all-new laser tabletop tennis game that actually uses a super bright LED to project a ball of light on the playing surface. Players use a specially made reflective racket to hit the ball back and forth. The game is designed for 1 or 2 players and can be played in 1 or 3 set matches against the computer or an opponent. There are also 4 levels of play where the speed of the ball increases at each level. Tiger's laser tennis game is on sale now in all good UK toy stores for around £40. Virtual reality is making a comeback thanks to H. Grossman, the Scottish company responsible for last year's Alien Eggs toy craze. Virtual Reality World is a range of games that allow players to become literally involved in the action. Virtual Reality World brings sport to life with a variety of games from boxing to golf. And if it's raining outside, wouldn't you rather go fishing from the comfort of your very own armchair? Motion sensors on the VR fishing game let you set the hook, cast the line out, and use a sneaky radar to spot those unlucky fish. And Virtual Reality World is just as much fun for all your mates, as they can laugh at you leaping wildly about the room trying to catch that big fish or knock out a VR ninja. Welcome to PSI, the most explosive guide to PlayStation games ever. Packed with news, reviews and previews, PSI lets you see the latest games moving, hear the people behind the games talking, and features the unique Action Replay CDX cheat engine that lets you blow the biggest PlayStation titles wide open every issue. So sit back and prepare to get this month's fix, courtesy of PSI. In this issue of PSI, we bring you the WWF SmackDown cheat code engine that'll have you gaming like never before. Brought to us courtesy of Code Junkies, we've got the most wanted cheat codes, including infinite special moves, have all characteristics, and special every hit. Plus, cheats in action, real-life footage of the most incredible gaming situations ever seen. We hear from Bill Gates, take a first look at Microsoft's Xbox and Sony's PlayStation 2, and go behind the scenes with the development team from the forthcoming Thunderbird game. Plus, reviews, previews, and a look at what's new in the gadget world. And of course, your chance to win a PlayStation 2 and games in our piece of cake competition. What are you waiting for? The PS2 console is a lot smaller than we expected. From the photos we'd seen, the PS2 had given the impression it would be the size of a full-blown standalone DVD player, yet it's almost the same size as the original PlayStation. It is a lot heavier though and oozes quality. In fact, the whole machine feels chunky in a satisfying, I sure got my money's worth kind of way. It purrs when it's switched on. The cooling fan at the back whirs into action, and you get the feeling you're about to witness something very special. There's an ultraviolet on LED by the side of the CD tray which looks very smart, and a green reset button above it. The reset button has a safety mechanism which means it has to be pressed twice before it acts. Game CDs are silver or deep blue, no black discs anymore by the looks of things. The first thing you see on screen is the new Sony Computer Entertainment Splash, which sees blue mist swirling out of the center of the screen. The quality of this animation has to be seen to be appreciated because it's liquid smooth. Photos just can't convey how impressive this really looks. With no CD inserted, you get the choice of playing around with the nifty 8MB, not megabit memory card that comes with the console, or you can click on the CD symbol to launch a DVD movie. There is a small amount of tweaking that can also be done, changing background animations and the like. Animations include fireworks and 3D shapes, etc. The PS2 also comes with a utility disc. The software drivers that allow the console to play DVD movies are stored on the memory card, but the utility disc includes backups in case you accidentally wipe the DVD drivers off your card. Now, if you haven't yet witnessed the joys of DVD, you're in for a treat. For a start, the picture quality of movies on PS2 is immaculate. But what about the games? Well, forget Kessen and Eternal Ring. Basically, they're both pants. But that's not the fault of the hardware. Street Fighter Alpha 3 is okay, but doesn't really look much better than a PlayStation 1 game. The background swirls around in 3D, but you get the feeling that it's really a glorified 2D beat-em-up. I went a few rounds against a gang of girls and got my face slapped. Then some comic hero lookalike decided to burn me with a ball of flame while some lady started whipping me. Luckily, Namco have come to the rescue with the luscious driving experience that is Ridge Racer 5.
This game looks gorgeous, even more so than Ridge Racer the arcade machine, and the frame rate in first-person camera view is lightning fast. Gameplay is satisfyingly realistic. Skidding feels like the real thing, with your car physically reacting just as you would expect, but it's the graphics that are out of this world. Liquid smooth animation, incredible light, beautiful high-res textures. I could go on forever. You probably won't have much time to admire all these niceties during gameplay, but the replay afterwards is highly rewarding. And it looks so good, it makes Gran Turismo 2's high-res replays look as pixelated as a flight of stairs. See the full review of Ridge Racer 5 on PSI's review page and get yourself down the shops to pre-order your PS2 now. It's glaringly obvious from the title that this is a racing game featuring huge four-wheel drive vehicles. 1 or 2 players can take place in a straightforward race over several challenging landscapes. Played against computer-controlled opponents, the point here is to reach each checkpoint before the timer reaches 0 and ultimately cross the finish line in first place. Extra vehicles and track are made available later, so if you ever fancy a quick race against several AI drivers, there's always going to be plenty of choice. The part of the game with the most longevity is the World Tour mode. In this you have a certain number of credits with which you can buy not only new vehicles, but also upgrades like tyres and new shocks. These upgrades enhance different abilities of your 4x4, and a little strategy is called into play when you have to be sure you can afford certain upgrades for the locations that demand them. The World Tour is played over a series of leagues, which have a few races in each. Winning races wins you credits as well as earning you a place in the next league, hopefully getting to the World Championship and winning the World Cup. World Trophy looks and sounds quite good, but not outstanding. It's a competent driving game, but we've seen it all before. Definitely one to try before you buy. Bishi Bashi is a collection of dozens of tiny games all thrown together in an arcade-style setting for you to race at against the clock. It's presumably aimed at the children's market, and the game is split into Hyper Bishi Bashi and Super Bishi Bashi, the hyper version being suitable for slightly older kids. The younger version features classic pastimes such as keeping rhythm with a monkey, driving Ferraris down bowling alleys, and playing basketball with bombs. If you're able to easily cope with the colours and alphabet tests thrown at you in Super Bishi Bashi, then give yourself a pat on the back and move on to the slightly more disturbing world of Hyper Bishi Bashi. Children's game or not, any company that can make a game out of a bride in full wedding dress throwing custard pies into the congregation deserves an award, and probably serious mental assistance. In a moment of inspiration, Konami have converted their track and field javelin throwing into religious pie throwing. You get to take a run-up in true track and field button-pounding fashion before holding the button down to achieve the optimum angle of delivery. As the bridegroom trails helplessly behind you, the custard pie sails over the pews and catches some poor unfortunate full in the face as the rest of the church cheers and applauds. This is not the only mind-warping experience that the Hyper version has to offer. Martian pinball, Transformer-style robots and karate games blend in effortlessly with the intriguingly titled Uncle Bean, a strange character who bears an uncanny resemblance to Jeremy Beadle and spends his days catching different coloured beans. The rhythm-matching theme of Super Bishi Bashi is continued here as well by a 70s disco throwback whose green afro grows to gigantic proportions as he dances in time with the beat. While none of the games would stand alone as classics, this is obviously not the idea. Final Fantasy VIII this is not. But it would be wrong to judge Bishi Bashi by normal reviewing standards. Any games company marketing one of the stages on its own would be laughed off the face of the planet. Stick them all together though, and Bishi Bashi stands on its own as something slightly different. Now, I'm not convinced by the concept of fishing games, to be honest. I mean, I know they're popular and all that, but why? Sega Bass Fishing on the Dreamcast has proven that there is some entertainment to be gleaned from waving a plastic rod around and catching fish on your console. So then, the PlayStation interpretation goes something like this. You pick a spot to fish and the lure you're going to use. There are several lakes and spots available, and these all differ in depth and size, etc., which affect the fishing. There are quite a variety of lures to choose from, all manner of spinners and spoons, as well as our old friend the worm, or maggot if you prefer. You can also change the colour of your lure. The brighter the colour, the more likely they are to catch the eye of a shoal of bass. Then it's time to don your wellies and get down to the place where you're going to fish. You begin by casting your line, and unlike float fishing where your bait is suspended in the water, the idea is to drag your lure through the water using your reel in conjunction with the rod itself. Get it right, and sooner or later a passing fish will take a bite at the lure. As soon as you can, you have to strike. Quickly tug on your line in order to hook the fish. There then follows a struggle to reel in your catch, made difficult by the fact that the fish thrashes wildly from side to side. This can cause your line to break if the tension is too high, and if this happens you have no choice but to release the fish. A successful capture though, and your score scored according to the weight of the fish. A variety of game modes are available from the front end, including a head-to-head mode, so that you and a chum can prove who's the best at fishing. Also available is the World Monsters mode, where you get the chance to catch giant fish around the world. Real fans of the sport are going to lap this up, and even non-fans will enjoy this for a while, even just for its novelty value. JoJo is based on a long-running manga comic strip by Yoshio Aramaki, which over 4 large sagas tells of the Joestar family line, who in 1800s England fall foul of an immortal vampire called Dio. Dio has developed a thing for Joestar blood and now pursues each new generation of the Joestars for a fresh blood transfusion and wreaks merry hell wherever he goes. Dio has apparently necked dear Mrs. Holly Joestar, and she now lies in a hospital bed and will die if Dio cannot be killed in time. Understandably a bit upset about this, 6-year-old Joseph Joestar sets off with his 17-year-old grandson Jotaro to find Dio's lair and kick the old vamp's head in. This is where you come in, playing the role of Jotaro, a hulking slab of muscle with a fixed grimace and a length of chain hanging from his lapel. You can select to play the game in story mode if you want, wherein the game jumps from location to location, with you getting into fights not just with Dio's minions, but also with characters who'll eventually join you on your quest. There's also a training mode for you to polish up on your combos, a conventional one-on-one battle mode which proceeds through all the characters in the game and which plays like any other beat-em-up, and of course a 2-player mode. As for the action, well, it's all much like every other 2D beat-em-up ever made. You mash the buttons like mad and try to deck the other guy before he decks you. So it's yet another Capcom beat-em-up, but at least it has a few twists up its sleeve and a real plot to keep things interesting. You might not fancy another primary colour production line Capcom Kickfest in your collection, but JoJo has enough twists going for it to make it worth coughing up for. If you're familiar with any of Namco's previous Ridge Racer games on PlayStation, you'll already know the formula behind RR5. This similarity isn't a bad thing, it makes the game very accessible. Before you start your engine, you can customize your car with a new look, view your trophy collection, check out the best lap times, or save your progress and game settings to the PS2's 8MB memory card. There are also different race types: Grand Prix, Time Attack, It's You Against the Clock, Rally Style, or Free Run. Basically a test run around the track of your choice at your leisure. There are 3 difficulty levels: easy, normal, and hard. Grand Prix is always going to be the option to get your adrenaline racing. On each of RR5's tracks, you have to qualify in 4 races before you're allowed to progress to the next stage, and your car will need to finish in the top 4. Fortunately, if you're pants, you can choose automatic gears instead of manual ones, and make your PS2 do all the hard work. That's not to say there's nothing for you to do though. There are 2 keys to success in RR5: mastering corners with the analog stick, and simply remembering the track layout so you can prepare for those chicanes. So, practice makes perfect, but the good news is that it's a joy to practice, again and again and again. RR5 is the most addictive racer yet, and the ultra-realistic graphics and car physics are the reason. The in-game graphics are crystal clear and are more detailed than the replays in Gran Turismo 2. The replays in RR5 are nothing short of stunning. Press the triangle button and you'll flick through breathtaking camera angles which ooze with high-res detail. 1 or 2 players can race in RR5, and the new PS2 is fully compatible with existing PlayStation controllers. Ridge Racer 5 breaks no new ground in terms of originality, but in terms of execution, it's the best racing game ever. It'll keep you coming back for more, and even after a few days of playing, you'll still be pestering other members of your household with cries of, "Come and look at the graphics on this!" RR5 is not just a game, it's a full-on racing experience that shouldn't be missed. Make sure you pre-order your PS2 now. Briefly and without giving too much away, the protagonist crawls out of a helicopter wreck with no knowledge of who he is or how he came to be there, and the main thrust of the game, apart from surviving, follows his attempt to discover the answers. The plot is unraveled through a combination of encounters, finds, and flashbacks. Your voyage of discovery is hampered by another outbreak of the infamous T-virus, meaning that you'll need to deal with several of the persistently undead, along with a surprising variety of other monstrous adversaries, some of which are familiar from earlier games. The most obvious difference is that the game is first-person, like Quake, Doom, and GoldenEye, rather than the traditional third-person, although this is an option. Gone are the cinematic camera angles and the lavish pre-rendered backgrounds. The other major change is that the game is much more arcadey. Whilst not strictly a light gun game, the gun-con support is a major feature. Survivor certainly has more replay value than the traditional Resident Evil games, but the actual game is a fair bit smaller. Overall, it is worth it, and Survivor might even have a wider appeal than the earlier games, bringing in the light gun owners and the first-person shooter fans without alienating old fans of the series. Survivor is a worthy addition to the Resident Evil canon. From the surreal world of Japanese manga cartoons comes the latest installment in the Toshinden series. Toshinden 4 transports you to a psychedelic, brightly coloured world where boys look like girls, girls fight like boys, and virtually everybody wears tights. Toshinden allows you to take control of one of a selection of characters as you battle through the Toshinden martial arts tournament to fulfill your quest. As with the Tekken series, each combatant has a story behind them and generally seems to be searching for a long-lost parent. Virtually everyone seems to be an orphan questing in search of their missing parents. Unfortunately, these parents normally turn out Darth Vader style to be their mortal enemies. The game commences with the obligatory video sequence of everyone jumping around brandishing swords and then offers you a variety of different modes of combat. The team story mode is the obvious choice, letting you select a team of 3 to battle through the tournament. Only in Toshinden could the hero be named after a rally car, but Subaru is one of the more effective fighters. Other choices include Genma the Magician, Bang Boo the Robot, Lancelot, Miyabi, and Rook, who's allegedly a cheerful American. The game itself is quite striking in appearance, but once you get beyond the bright colours and the often psychedelic backdrops, the graphics are nowhere near as clearly defined as other games of this type. The controls are reasonably standard, but the shoulder buttons are used to activate the special moves that are a prerequisite for all beat-em-ups. The speed of the gameplay is possibly where Toshinden suffers most of all though, and at times you seem to be playing in a different time zone to your opponent. Should you be unfortunate enough to end up back-to-back with them, you can spend what seems like half an hour getting your player to face the right way. The game is not entirely without appeal, and you do find yourself becoming attached to some of the fighters. Naru quickly becomes a particular favourite as she quests in search of her adoptive father. Rook is one of the best and quickest characters, and a bit of a lad as well, as opposed to Lancelot, who's presumably male but looks like a girl and carries a girly fencing sword. All in all though, Toshinden 4 is a bit of a disappointment. It seems to have tried to cover up a sadly lacking beat-em-up with bright technicolor backgrounds and cartoon graphics. Although there are worse fighting games on the market, there are not many that are slower to play, and I'm afraid that all the time Tekken 3 is on the shelves and Tekken Tag is just around the corner, then there's no real contest. Thunderbirds are go in our exclusive no-strings work-in-progress interview. PSI travels to the studios of Deep Red to meet the people entrusted with turning Tracy Island from a puppet-populated paradise to a PlayStation blockbuster.
Deep Red's principally made up of Kevin and I, we're the 2 directors, and we're backed up by a sort of a mighty team of about 28 people who currently work on 3 projects. Deep Red as a company is actually, I believe, 2 years old this month, so we're a pretty young company, but we've got a lot of experience behind us and really excited about what's coming down the pike, certainly for Thunderbirds as well. The issue that we've got is that if we develop the game for the original dedicated fans of Thunderbirds, then we'd run the risk of alienating all of the new players. And if I'm honest, the PlayStation 2 market that we're shooting for is really about new gamers. We're going to go for very high-end animation, we're going for great physics, we're going for everything to be in scale. But we're being very faithful to the original Thunderbirds theme, in that all of the Thunderbirds vehicles, all of the Thunderbirds family are in there, and all of the associated icons within the original Thunderbirds game are going to be catered for. Jerry Anderson's been involved with the project pretty much from the outset. He's really keen to make sure that that Thunderbirds the game is as good as and as exciting as the original movie series. There is talk of, unofficially, of Jerry Anderson actually creating some new characters, possibly a new vehicle, possibly new characters to actually allow us to add those into the game. So they'd be created by Jerry Anderson and they'd be part of the new Thunderbirds game.
We are absolutely thrilled to be working on the Thunderbirds license. In this industry, it's only every once in a while that you get the combination of top license, wonderful publisher, and hopefully we'll complete that triangle with being the perfect developer of the product. Every member of the Tracy family is thrilled to be free of strings. As you remember from the original series, the whole animation technique involves strings on every part of the body. And to be finally free of that restriction after 30 years is, well, they're having parties on Tracy Island every night.
At the beginning of each mission, you choose which vehicle you want to pilot during that mission, and as in doing so, you take on the role of one of the characters. Quite a cross-genre game. It'll be an action game, very cinematic, very fluid. You'll be doing a lot of piloting, a lot of driving, but at the same time you'll be rescuing people, knocking away bad guys, and so on. we're really focusing on a very broad scope of players. The visual effects to me are really striking. We've just entered in our industry a time when we're able to compete with the film industry in terms of visual wow. So we're currently thinking about things like heat waves coming off of engines, like you've seen airplanes coming off of a deck of a ship, and particle effects with fire, smoke, clouds going over terrain, a very cinematic feel. This game has that same quality. We've inherited from Jerry Anderson and his cronies a great backstory, awesome characters, a lot of personality in this game that we can now build upon essentially for free. So we're standing on the shoulders of giants, so to speak.
So, Microsoft's worst-kept secret is finally out. The company is developing a PC games console to rival the looks, sounds and gameplay of Sony's gorgeous PlayStation 2. Xbox is set to launch in the UK and the rest of the world in autumn 2001 for around £200. And like PlayStation 2, will be internet-ready and use a DVD drive to play games and movies. Unlike PlayStation 2, however, Xbox is equipped with a built-in 8GB hard drive. With the backing of Bill Gates' billions and leading games companies like Acclaim, Activision, Electronic Arts, Eidos and Konami, Xbox is already off to a promising start. So keep yourself up to date with all the latest Xbox news and gossip by regularly surfing our website at codejunkies.com in the coming months.
The future of console gaming. It'll come out in fall 2001. We have a hard disk in every single unit of the Xbox. And it's a DVD drive. You can stick in a DVD movie and get automatic playback. We've got the game ports. We've got Ethernet, 10 and 100 megabit connection built in. That's because we see this as a device really for the broadband internet generation. This graphics processor can do 1 trillion operations a second. And that's where you can get photorealism. That's way beyond any product that exists today.